The economy created 21,000 new jobs in September. Now that's a modest turnaround from the 100,000 jobs that were lost in the previous 3 months. And the national unemployment rate has fallen to 5.2%. Joining us now to go over the latest figures is Ted Mallett. He's the director of the economic forecasting team at the Conference Board of Canada. Mr. Mallett, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, well, first of all, what do you make of these employment figures? Obviously, any increase in employment is good, but how do they fit into the overall economic picture?
Well, we see these numbers as basically a correction to what happened in August. There were about 30,000 jobs that looked like they were lost in the education sector in August, and they magically came back in September. And StatsCan survey it doesn't cover all households, so they have to kind of run it through some calculations and smoothing and so on. So there is some variations, especially by sector, and this is what we found. But generally, the numbers show that for September, we haven't had any real net employment increase since February or March of this year. So basically, it's been flat for the past 6 months or so.
Okay, well, I'll put then something to you, because if it's flat and not much of an increase, maybe this question is not relevant, but we've been told by a lot of economists that being laser focused these days on inflation, in a sort of perverse twist, economists are concerned that a lot of job creation could create more inflation, more inflationary pressures, as they call it. Where does that fit in?
Well, that's right. We saw some increase in employment through the early part of the year, and it's tapered off a fair bit. So a minor correction in September. The good news is that inflation looks like it is moderating. It doesn't look like it when you look at it year over year. Comparing prices, say in August versus what they were in August 2021. But the past couple of months, at least on the inflation side, has been fairly modest in the rate of new increases, because most of the increases were happening earlier in the year. So we expect that the tapering of employment is perhaps helped caused by the concern about prices, and we know that demand is tapering off as well. So these are indicators that perhaps the Bank of Canada's policies of increasing interest rates to try to tame inflation by reducing demand pressures in the economy seem to be perhaps working, and we'll see over the next coming months whether that's going to be sustained.
Well, that was my other question then, because we heard the Governor of the Bank of Canada, Tiff Macklem, yesterday in a speech in Halifax. He made it abundantly clear that the bank is counting on proceeding with another interest rate increase on October 26, and he also made it sound like their intention was possibly for further rate increases. Are you expecting that as well?
Well, certainly the central banks are going to be talking inflation down as much as they can. The postures, the language they use is just as important as the numbers that they put out in terms of the benchmark rates and so on. We certainly know the U.S. Fed is talking very hard on that. There's some question whether maybe they're trying to scare people to reduce demand more so than maybe they can ease up on their plans to increase on rates.
Okay, last question, and I know this might be a complex one, but with, basically you're describing a sort of a stagnant job situation and inflation not what it was a few months ago, but still a concern. Are we in a recession?
I think we're in a period of basically stopped growth, and really the demand issues, people wanting new products and so on, creating pressures on the supply chains, and then all the kind of impacts on businesses along the way are starting to work their way through the system. So, we don't think, it's about 50-50 chance that we'll end up with a technical recession, but it's pretty well assured that we'll have a period of very slow growth, or at least no growth, going on the next few months or quarters.
Okay, Ted Mallett, thank you very much for speaking with us, and we'll keep in contact.
My pleasure. Thank you.